Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back once again to another Fallout 4 settlement build. Today we're going to be checking out the tattoo parlor located inside of our raider settlement, and it's going to be a pretty small build, but I think it is rather enjoyable nonetheless. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Alright guys, so for starters we'll go ahead and check out the outside of the build, which I must say is pretty boxed in, and I think I'd have to say that the most exciting part would be the deck out here, since it just has much more detail, at least compared to the rest of the outside. Now if you guys want to try and recreate a shop similar to this, I'd say a deck like the one you're seeing right now isn't totally necessary, but if you have the budget, or at the very least the time, making something like this can easily help improve the look of your build. Other than that, there's a few other pretty small decorations that may or may not be staying. Number one would just be the doghouse over here, which I figured might just belong to the owner, and then there's also this little guard post to the right of that. The reason I think I may get rid of these is so I would have the room to maybe make one more building over here, since I think the entrance will be right about there in the middle. So to me at least, having all this empty space to the left of that just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Off to the other side is a very minor seating area, along with some wall decorations which include just some random papers that kind of fill up the blank space, and the tattoo parlor sign as well. And for those of you wondering what all this stuff on the left is going to be, I'm thinking about turning it into some sort of an apartment complex. So it's going to have a lot of small rooms, but I'm hoping to be able to make the building pretty tall, so that way we can fit a lot of them in there. And just in case some of you wanted a closer look at the deck out front, it's really just two sets of seats, and then a little ashtray thing to the right side, and a table with some drinks and a magazine to the left. And really, when it comes to making things like this, if you're not sure what to put down, just try and imagine what you might be doing if you were sitting out here waiting for your turn to get a tattoo. And so in my case, or the Raiders' case, I thought that would be either having a drink, or even being able to read something that's not too boring. With all that covered, we'll go ahead and move inside. Oh, and one thing I guess I didn't really mention is that although this is only one story right now, without a doubt I'm planning on raising this up maybe 2 or 3 more floors, so just keep that in mind. Now I gotta say, for the small amount of room we had, I was actually able to fit quite a bit in here, and there's actually a few things that don't really need to be here. So if you really don't have that much room, I'd say it would still be possible to make this a 2x1 building rather than the size we have right now. You would just have to remove the deck along with the small bedroom area I have off to the right. When you first enter the parlor though, you'll be greeted with yet another small seating section, just in case you didn't really want to wait outside, say maybe if it was getting a bit chilly out there in the cave. And over here, so that the customers don't get too bored, I've also included a few things to do, such as some beers to drink, which I guess you could say that maybe they brought those in on their own, but other than that, there's also a board game. And now that I mention it, I'm not sure the Raiders would enjoy that too much, but then again, you never know. Also on the walls, there's some decorative posters, just to kind of brighten the mood a bit, since they are pretty colorful when you compare them to the rest of the wasteland. And then what I find really cool about having the bug up there is that since it has the stinger, I figured that maybe the owner of this place might be able to use that for giving tattoos, and maybe that's where he gets his needles from. Or I guess even if that creature had some kind of fluid inside of him, maybe that's what the tattoo artist could use for ink. Another minor, but maybe even necessary detail that you may see as we go throughout the build are these tattoo magazines. I think there might be a total of 4 or 5 of them, but there's the first one, the second one's over here on the main counter, and then the other few should be back in the tattoo room. But before we head in there, we'll go ahead and check out the front desk really quick. So other than the magazine, the counter here also includes some paperwork, some caps for payment, and then obviously the cash register to store those. And at the very least, if you didn't want to end up throwing all these extra decorations on it, I think the counter still serves as a nice blockade between the rooms and kind of helps divide everything up. But yeah, moving on from there, we also have the owner's bedroom, which is probably another optional thing. If you do go that route, you might want to include some more housing throughout your settlement, just so it makes sense. But for this area, we have a pretty makeshift bed that looks pretty dirty, to say the least. And there's also some pillows scattered about, along with a set of framed guns and weapons on the back wall. And I believe that comes from the Creative Clutter mod, for any of you interested. And then last, but certainly not least, is the actual room where you would get your tattoo done. And for this area, I've tried to make it look somewhat like a dirty, greasy car garage. So really not the most sanitary thing, but when it really comes down to it, that was the look I was going for. And that's why off to the right we have all these ingredients that really would not be safe or sanitary. And I'm hoping the paint indicates that maybe that's what the guy's using for ink, along with some of the oil cans, say if the tattoo was just going to be black. Now, obviously, Fallout doesn't have any sort of tattoo gun, at least as far as I'm aware of, so the closest thing I could find to that was an injector. And really, it's just another one of those things in this build that doesn't look too safe, but I guess at the end of the day, it gets the job done. And that's really about it, aside from that counter along the back wall, which just has some more tools, some more ink and whatnot. And if you're wondering what the Bunsen burner and test tubes are for, I was thinking that maybe the tattoo artist could use those to mix different colors, so that's really all those are for. But anyways guys, I think that'll just about do it for today. And once again, I know it was a rather small build, but hopefully you still enjoyed it. That being said, feel free to let me know what you thought down in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.